We're
This
good.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay.
All right, you have a public service announcement?
I do. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. So we are running our survey that we did this for prostate cancer a couple of years ago, but we wanted to open this up to everybody. And we are trying to get feedback about our groups, what we do here at AnCan, and we do not want you to hold back. And I will quote Rick, our founder. If you haven't seen him in a group before, he was in one of our groups last night. If you do not like Rick, please put that in the survey as well. He wants to know if you do not like his commentary.
Noted.
You let him have it. That's what he wants. So absolutely, we want to make sure that we are serving you, that we are doing right by you, and that we are giving you the best possible experience. So I'm going to post the link in the chat. And yes, Regina, it is still open, and we're going to have it open for a little bit, but we want to hear from you. You will not hurt our feelings. So that's just what I wanted to state, and we would really appreciate you doing that for us.
Absolutely. Feedback is important. All right, the link is up in the chat. I'm going to grab
We
that.
will post this on the recording as well. So if you're just watching the recording, I will put this in the YouTube description as well.
All right, I got it.
Is that the same survey that's in the email as well? Okay.
Yes, it's the same survey.
I guess I might have gotten this before, but and didn't fill it out because I had only attended one meeting. So
Well,
Still
after
time.
tonight, you will have attended 2. You can just like on 1 to 2, like was one better than the other? You know, you're gonna have some experience now. You know what I mean?
yes.
Gosh, how long have I been doing these meetings? It's got to be like 3 years now, maybe 4.
Yes. No, Kevin, I remember training you, and I had not been at AnCan long, so it's been like 3 years, correct?
Yeah. All right, so everyone's got the link. We can hit that after our
I got
group
roped
call.
in, so
All right, so let's just check in, see how everyone's doing. Rebecca, any news to report? How are you feeling?
I'm not feeling bad now. I'm just trying to remember, when did we last meet? Like a month ago? Something like
If
that.
you were on the last call, would have been a month ago.
Yeah.
When I was in and out because the hurricane was rolling through,
Yes,
then that was a
that's
month
where I
ago.
was at. I guess I'd say since then I had I'm getting infusions of Inflectra or Remicade every 8 weeks, and I think it must have been about a month ago that I had, no, it was less than that. I had my last one, and I really had this pretty bad reaction to it. Got a lot of pain and a fever out of it, so which surprised me because I hadn't reacted to it before, and so my rheumatologist is going to uh, like probably have me take some things in preparation for it, so hopefully I won't have that reaction.
normally when I first started, the one thing that they gave would be the Tylenol and a Benadryl because it is one of the side effects. But I had to have them stop giving me those because I'll take them before, if I needed them, I would take them before, because it costs when you go to the hospital. It costs you maybe $10-$20 just
Oh my
to
gosh, for a Tylenol.
heal.
Yeah,
So
I actually started taking Tylenol before because the first time I got the infusion, I did get a fever. And so then they had to call the doctor and get him to approve giving me a Tylenol, which is like, this is stupid. So I just took it ahead of time myself. But yeah, it sounded like there were a couple of things the doctor was thinking of including.
yeah,
And then I also got, I can't remember, I think this might have been a week after that. I got this kind of arthritis attack. It was really painful, and I had to go back on a higher dose of prednisone. Um, so I guess one of my questions is, and I might have asked this before, is, have any of you gotten kind of painful arthritis seeming symptoms as part of having sarcoidosis? Yes?
Um, my experience with arthritis is unusual. Um, so I had an accident in 2020, flared up, got my heart, and by January to April, it was all about like physical therapy, trying to get things put back into place and relax and stretched um, and I started prednisone. All of my pain from the accident went away. I'm like, oh, thank you.
It's quite a
Finally,
drug.
it's a break, right? Not only did I lose the pain, I lost my mind, but that's another story.
Yes, that is a problem.
So by December, I started tapering off of the prednisone, and I noticed after I dropped from 40 to like 20, a lot of the pain was coming back, only worse.
Mm.
And it initially resolved to my shoulders. So I'd injured both shoulders, and it kind of felt similar pain, but all of a sudden I couldn't lift my hand above my shoulders without like
Wow.
in pain.
And was it from the injury or was it
And,
sarcoid? You
you
don't know.
know, so I'm talking to a physical therapist and like, oh, arthritis is a one-way street. You're gonna have to get your shots, and it's never gonna get better. It's only gonna get worse. I'm like, well, thanks for the pep talk. And as I continued to taper down the prednisone, I was getting all sorts of pains in my knees and ankles.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember because I came down to Naples in 2021, and on the drive down, like we'd be in the car for like 2 hours, 3 hours, stop, get gas, go pee, whatever, trying to like stand up from sitting in
Oh,
like that position, like it was super painful. I was like crippled,
Yep.
and it was the weirdest thing. And then the shots really helped with my shoulders. Everything else was kind of like they tried me on gabapentin and Flexeril and a whole bunch of polymyalgia,
yeah.
type stuff. Nothing worked. I got off of all of it, and then it all went away.
Oh, that's so interesting.
So it's not like it's a one-way street. Like it could be active inflammation from your disease process showing up in your joints, causing the pain. And if you could tamp that fire down, for me, one of the things I do a lot of is fasting. So I will stop eating at 7 o'clock, and I won't eat again until like 2 in the afternoon. So I have a
Wow.
restricted eating window. And when I'm not eating, my body is fighting the inflammation. So fasting is supposed to be really good for that. And I'm thinking I've just about used up that benefit because I've
Mm,
continued intermittent fasting, and now the arthritis is coming back. So I need to find a new trick or a new biohack.
right.
But
I'm,
I,
I'm agreeing with you, Kevin, because I think the steroids have damaged all of my joints. And then when I got in the car accident at the end of 2021, it flared everything up, and I've been in pain ever since.
Mm,
That's what I was talking about, last month.
yeah,
I think it um, really did some damage, and that's one of the reasons why I'm now on muscle relaxers, because
mm,
I need to have my muscles relaxed, because I also have fibromyalgia as well. And I'm telling you, I was going stir crazy last month, and that's why I now have mega headaches, and the muscle relaxers is what helped relieve some of my headaches as well. So that's why I don't think I'm ever going to get off of them. But yeah, I have damaged joints now, and they kept telling me I'm going to need a knee replacement, but I say no. And I'm going to tell you because my knee has gotten better because I don't do a whole lot of walking on it anymore, but I do walk it and I do exercise it, and it feels a lot better now. I also, like you and I, Kevin, were talking a little earlier. I've started doing probiotics. Those have helped, and I've also started taking some magnesium citrate for my bone health. And since I've started that, I'm going to tell you for my benefit, it's just for me. I'm saying what helps me. The magnesium citrate has actually helped for me,
It's
um,
helped joints or just pain in general?
for my bone health, because I have thinning of the bone now.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and as long as you keep your bones healthy, I think my bones can do some regeneration of its own and help
Yeah.
help with my joints. And I can tell I feel like it's made a big difference for me already. I've been doing it for like a little over a month now,
So,
and um,
did you get a DEXA scan for your bone density?
no, I had a knee scan, and he said I have osteopenia, which is bone thinning,
Yep.
which is bone thinning, and it's bone thinning in my knees. So
It'll be
um,
interesting to see if it improves over time taking the magnesium citrate.
I'm hoping that it does, because I'm hoping the next time that they do an X-ray on it, they tell me something different. So, but my knee feels a lot better, and like you, it gets, if you're sitting long periods of time, it does get stiff when I'm driving. So when I do the long haul down to Georgia, because I do that trip, I make plenty of stops to get out and exercise that knee,
Yep.
and I continue on, and it
I
helps.
drove from Naples to Florence. It was about 10 hours on Google Maps, and I did it in 13 hours because I kept stopping and walking around,
Exactly.
stretching, and then starting back up.
I mean,
Whatever
exactly.
works.
Yes, whatever works. But I refuse to get a knee replacement, because I'm gonna tell you, people who have sarcoid, because I've had surgery. I had my Achilles
Every
repaired.
time you cut, it's a risk.
It is.
Really?
It's a high risk, because it takes forever for people who have sarcoid for them to heal. I had both my Achilles repaired, and I'm going to tell you, it took 3 years, basically 3 years, for my ankles to start feeling better.
Dear. Wow.
Yes, exactly.
I have a couple of scars um, from when I had a couple of falls when I was in my flare up, and it did not heal right.
No, they don't.
It looks like what's that condition when you get really thick,
Keloids.
heavy scarring?
I have
Keloid?
keloids.
Keloids.
Yes.
It looks like keloid. It's
Mm-hmm.
a purple, and
Hmm.
it's just completely different than when I was
Yeah.
healing when I was healthy.
And that's because
Huh.
we lose some of our cortisol that we carry in our body. We lose some of that, and that makes us not heal very well. Is what I found out. I've done a lot of research on some of this stuff, and I'm like, wow, really?
Mm.
So we have to really be careful, and be mindful of what it is that we're doing. I'm
Yep. So I'm a little concerned on that front because in the past 5 months I've been doing a lot of boating. I met a friend. He's got a 42-foot yacht, and he that's his happy place. He wants to come home from work. And he wants to go out for a boat ride. I'm like, all right,
Sounds
but I'm
good to
getting a
me.
lot of sun and vitamin D and the whole
yes.
interaction with Sark. I'm like, could that be why I'm feeling off? Or could it be intermittent fasting isn't working anymore? Or could it be something else? I don't know. I'm just
I mean, do you
grasping.
notice anything in your skin?
What's that?
Is there anything happening with your skin that's related to
No,
thyroid?
no.
No.
I
Oh,
have a couple of spots that's like, itchy. My palms got itchy, and it's a different coloration. And I got some cream for it from my dermatologist, but that's the only thing that's a little different with the skin.
Mm.
Everything else looks fine.
I
You
had
know,
sarcoid of the skin, but it has been healed. When I was on that hydrochloroquine and something else,
hydroxy.
hydroxychloroquine, yeah, and methotrexate, but it has healed. You will never know that I had it, and I had plastic surgery because I had it all over my face, and
Oh,
I was not about to walk around the United States with stuff all over my face. So I did. I had plastic surgery. I talked
Yeah.
to my dermatologist. I said, "Look, I'm not about to go around having it's called lupus perneal.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not about to have all of that hanging off of my nose and off of my mouth." And so we scheduled me to have plastic surgery because I have it in my sinus cavity too. And so they took it all off. I had stitches all over my nose, all over my mouth, and all over my face. And they took it all off and did a biopsy all on it, did that stuff, and it was all sarcoid.
Mm.
Yeah. Now I wasn't finna go around looking like that. Mm-mm. I did not want to be the witch. So,
Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh, but I get it.
Yeah.
no, I just didn't want to be going around with my kids and then my kids feel embarrassed.
Yeah.
So,
Heather, you're very quiet. How are you doing today? Heather? We can't hear you. I'm not sure if you're talking. I saw you went off mute. And back on mute.
I hear some scratchiness.
I don't think her microphone is working.
Oh, okay. She says she needs to figure out why it's not working.
All right.
Sometimes leaving and coming back in will fix it.
Mm.
And we're still recording, so we won't lose anything. Rebecca, what other medications are you on right now?
So I'm on prednisone, trying to taper down from 20 milligrams a day, and the Inflectra every 8 weeks. And actually, my doctor just switched it to Remicade, so I'll be doing that in December. So that's basically the treatments I'm having, and it
How
only.
long are you planning on tapering?
Well, I was trying to get it off it, and I got down to 5, and then I had a reaction in September, and I had to go back up. And then I gotten it down to 10 and had a reaction and went back up to 20. So the
How
doctor,
fast are you going down?
I was going down like 5 milligrams every 2 weeks, and I got down to 5 and then had the reaction. And so now the rheumatologist is saying it should just be a longer taper and
Yeah.
go more gradually.
I went from 40 to 0, but it was over 8 months. So I was still in steps of 5 for the first month. I did 5 for 2 weeks, 5 for 2 weeks, and then stepped it down by like 2.5 in a longer
Yeah.
period. And then once I got down into like 15, it was like, they had these little 1 milligram pills. You're doing the prednisone math.
Yeah, that's what he gave me. So I'm now like, once I get back to 10, I'm going to go like and I'll go to 9, then I'll go to 8, and hopefully, I can. If the Remicade really works, then I'm hoping I can eventually get off the. Hopefully, I can
And
get off.
when you get down to like 8, 7, 6, you have to wait for your adrenals to turn back on.
Oh, can you explain that?
So your adrenal glands produce cortisol,
Oh,
and it's a bioequivalent for the prednisone. So
ah,
since your body's flooded with prednisone from the pills, your adrenal glands kind of go to sleep because there's no demand for any more adrenaline, right? So as you come down, if it gets below 6 or 7, they should wake up and start providing a little bit. And as you drop it down, it'll provide some more. And then you're now back on um, your natural hormones in your body.
right. So you mean
But
once I get
sometimes, if you've been on prednisone for a while, sometimes it doesn't turn back on right away. So you shouldn't go down further because then you won't have enough adrenal in your blood.
Oh, so you mean when I get to like 7 or 8, I should go more slowly, or?
Oh, wow. I was doing like 1 milligram every 2 weeks.
Okay.
From 10 to 9 to 8 to 7.
Yeah,
And then
that's what they're telling
there's
me
a test
to.
they can do once you get below, I forget if it was 6 or 5. There's a test they can do to make sure your cortisol level's all right.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think the main indicators like a lot of fatigue, lack of
Uh,
strength, lack of drive.
yeah. Yeah, I'll ask the doctor when I get down to that level.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I was just
Phew.
seeing if there's anything I could do to request you on mic or kind of
I
tweak it a
just
little
logged,
bit. You up.
yeah, I logged off and came back on and hoped that it worked. So sorry, I am quiet because this is new for me. This is the first time I've ever joined a call. So
Okay.
Well, welcome.
thank
Well,
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
So Alexa's on the call. She's one of the back office support for the group and a lot of groups. And if you put your email in the chat, they will add you to the distribution list for the reminder calls for the second Wednesday of every month.
Perfect. Yes, and sarcoid is new for me as well. So
Sorry to hear
it's,
that.
everything's new. But yeah, I was diagnosed with kidney sarcoid. So I am going through the process of getting Remicade infusions, like
Uh,
Rebecca said. So and I've only done 2 so far. So
Well, what do you think about it? I'm on Remicade infusions as well too. So what do you think about it?
I haven't had any bad reactions yet. So far so good. It's helping my creatinine numbers come down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting positives out of it. The only thing that I've noticed is that I get a little tired and um, about like a lingering headache for about a week. But I did just notice the joint issues. I noticed my hips were achy. So I actually just asked my doctor about that. And they got back to me today saying, like, if it gets worse, come in so they can check things out for me. But it's not super bad. It's just kind of like get up and move around kind of achiness.
Yeah, when I had that, it would clear after 5 minutes or so, just moving it.
Yeah.
So for
Can I
me, sitting is like smoking.
can I ask what were your creatinine levels? Just curious.
Yes. So I was hospitalized back in April.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went in, I had no clue it was anything with my kidneys. And my creatinine was at a 16. And you're normally supposed to be below 1.
oh, wow.
So I am now down. I just reached the 3s. I had been kind of lingering in 4 for a while, but I'm now down to 3. So things
Okay.
have gone in the positive direction.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in the threes too. So
Yeah, every little bit's been good. It's once since I started the Remicade, I went from I was like 4.5. I'm now down to 3.7. So it's been like a little bit every week as I do my labs, but not a huge jump, but enough in the right direction.
good, good.
And are you like physically feeling better?
Yes. Oh, yes. Very much so.
So, what was the presentation that brought you to the hospital?
So I had lost all my appetite, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, couldn't really function. I'm 41. I have two young kids and couldn't do much of anything. And I had just noticed I wasn't being my normal self. And I had probably let that go on a little too long. My doctor thought it was my gallbladder.
Mm.
So I went in to get checked, did a ultrasound of my abdomen for gallbladder, and surprised it was something different.
Well,
So,
that's quite interesting. The first thing that happened to me is I had a gallbladder removal, and they asked me if I ever had gallstones, and I said no. But my gallbladder was so damaged it wasn't even funny, and
yeah,
they had to remove it.
mine was perfectly fine, but
Wow.
they were able to, it was all showing the same symptoms
Uh huh.
as the gallbladder. And they really only picked it up from the blood test that they had
Wow.
done when I went into the ER. So,
How did
and
they determine you had sarcoidosis?
so later on down the road, I ended up doing a kidney biopsy, and the
Okay.
biopsy showed.
Mm.
Hmm.
And did they scan anywhere else in your body for it?
Yep. So I've had an echo done for my heart. I've had lung, CAT scan, X-rays, etc. Nothing showed in any of the other areas
Okay,
thus far. So really, just the only thing that has been proven is my kidneys.
got it.
Wow.
That's an unusual starting
It
point.
sure is.
That's what I've learned. So
And
that's why I'm like, I need to join some groups and hear what other people's experiences are.
that's
And
interesting because I was told. Not sorry, not trying to interrupt you, Kevin, but her story is interesting because I was told you can't get sarcoid in your kidney. That's what one of my doctors told me. I'm like, no, that's a lie. And see, I believe I have sarcoid in my kidneys, honestly, because I have it all over. I'm a chronic patient, and I believe it's in my kidneys because I'm not a diabetic.
Hmm.
Um, and I have high kidney levels too. And so I'm
Mm.
just curious. Hmm.
Yeah,
Your
they were
story's very
able to easily with the biopsy, which I think was pretty. I mean, it was a long process, but uh, not a painful. Or I thought it was easier than I was thinking. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
hmm
Um, they were able to pick it up right away on that.
hmm.
well, I will share that many people in this group have had a much more arduous diagnosis process than that. Meaning, like they can't find anything wrong, and they're years in
Oh, I
Hmm.
bet.
duration until they finally say, "Oh, look at that! It's
Yep.
sarcoidosis."
Yep.
Just like
Yeah.
every typical house episode where that is featured. Scratch your head. Don't know. Oh, Sark. Um, yeah. So where are you going for information, like to figure out what this means for you?
Yep. I'm still working, obviously, with my nephrologist for the kidney aspect of it, and I see a rheumatologist as well with the kidneys because I've learned that it's more rare. Occurrence for sarcoid is that it's harder to find resources specifically or people that have the same experiences because of its rareness from that. So, but I do have a good team as far as my rheumatologist and my nephrologist working together. I'm in Maine, so I have just been working with the Maine Medical Center in Portland, Maine,
Okay.
and haven't gone to any. like sarcoid programs or research centers, but definitely have looked into them. But they've been able to stay on top of it. As far as I can see, I've been making progress. So, but just trying to get more information and gather other
How,
people's experiences.
yeah, how's your energy level now compared to when?
Oh my gosh, comparative to what I was, it's not back up to my what I consider normal by any means. I'm still very, very low energy. I've lost a lot of muscle.
Yeah,
So I've got a lot of fatigue within my body. But when back in April, when this all was found out, I mean, I could just stay in bed all day. I
Here.
physically couldn't move. It was
yeah.
just exhausting. It was exhausting.
When it's in a flare up and going, it consumes all of your glucose
Mm,
to create all the inflammation. It takes a lot of energy to make all those cells,
yeah.
and like all the reserves that are on your muscle and on your kidney or liver, I'm not sure which. It just consumes all of that just to feed the process, and you're left with nothing. Or
That's what
fewer
it felt
cells
like. Yeah.
that you would normally have. Um, well, that's good. Do you have any questions for some seasoned veterans?
I'm just curious on the flare up, like how with it being something that's new for me, what are some things that you all experience when you know that a flare up is coming on, or like warning signs for yourselves?
Regina, you want to go first?
Yeah. Oh, so you're asking the 30-year veteran?
What's your early warning indicator?
Mine is Well, mine is I start to just be very, 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 very sluggish. Like right now, I think having this sinus issue, having a cold, having things for me back to back to back to back right now lets me know that I'm probably in a flare. Like I was telling Kevin earlier, I had a sinus issue. I had to be put on antibiotics. And then from that, I went into having a cold. And then from that, I wind up getting a fever blister. So that lets me know that my body is in my, um, it's in what do you call it, low resistance right now. So
Hmm.
that lets me know I have got to be very, very, very careful. I need to basically stay away from a lot of people, stay away from, stay home because I can probably catch anything. And once I do that, anything else, once I do that, I know I'm going to be in a flare. So I have to be very, 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 very careful and mindful as to what I'm doing. And because I know I'm susceptible to being in a flare at this time, especially during this time of the year. This is the year where I get sick a lot, and it takes me forever to get well. Um, from the month of October all the way till like March or all the way up until March. So I can be in a flare from there until then. I have to take care of myself. Right now, I'm sick now. Um, and I'm nervous about being sick because I know I can be in a flare at any given moment. So that's all I can say for me. I mean, everybody is different, and you have to really stay in tune to your body and pay attention to how you're feeling because sometimes just being depressed can send you into a flare. Stress can send you into a flare. So you have to really just be mindful and just pay attention to yourself. Uh, Everybody is different, but for me, I know this is my dark time of my life, of my year, of how my illness. The winter months for me is.
Move to Florida. It's better. So, what I'd like to add to that, they originally found my sarcoidosis in my right ring finger. It was a big lump, And like, I don't know what it is. Could be a giant cell. Could be this. Could be that. We just go in and take it out, and then we'll figure out what it was. I'm like, great. And he comes back and goes, I know you have a figure problem, but you need to see a pulmonologist. I'm like, what? So even after they took the material out that was causing that lump, it would still come back. So the backstory, in my theory, is I had a hand injury when I was young. I crushed my right ring finger with a table, and I think it damaged the tendon sheath. So there's some scar tissue there. And then when my sarcoidosis starts to flare, it's actually in my interstitial tissue,
Oh.
and it's like a log jam. So if I like don't stay in a low carb diet, if I have a couple of heavy beers or something like that, it could be a couple of days and my finger will start to swell. And so that's like the first indication that I have something going on. So that's one. Second, I would agree with Regina. All of a sudden, I'll feel extra fatigued or brain fogged, like just like a squiz sitting on my face, like, oh. And that's also an indication for me that there might be something flaring. And so over the years, I've tried to come up with ways that I can try and tamp down the flare or the fire. And for me, it is super clean eating, like whole foods, vegetables, lean protein, appropriate portions, not stressing your body, it's staying away from sugar, and fasting. Those things they all fight inflammation, which is the process that sarcoidosis uses to cause all of its wonderful features. It's all inflammation driven, not inflation. Although we do have an inflation problem too.
Especially with prednisone.
So that's kind of my thoughts. So over time, listening to your body,
Yeah.
and look at your diet. So I'm not sure if you're following any of the influencers on podcasts that talk about food, but it's a really bad situation for a lot of people in the United States right now. When you go to the grocery store, you don't know what you're buying. It has a lot of chemicals in the food that may or may not be disclosed and may or may not be safe because the FDA doesn't know what to do with all these extra chemicals companies want to put in their food, make it more addictive. So trying to stay away from anything that's not organic, that's not, grass fed, non-GMO for sure, because the genetically modified organisms that they're creating allow them to spray Roundup directly on their plants, and it won't kill the plant, but it still gets in your food. And the active ingredient in Roundup, glyphosate, is one of the most inflammatory molecules known to man, followed by probably alcohol and sugar. So, there are three things to definitely be aware of, that it's not creeping into your diet.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been an organic eater all my life. And I grow my own vegetables too.
It's a good way to go.
It's interesting. I haven't looked at the food aspect of it. So that's a different approach. So thank you for that.
Yes. So I feel like sometimes I'm the canary in the coal mine. Like, I never thought organic was worth the money. Oh, look at that. It's so convenient. And I was eating, this is like 10 years ago, a little more processed food than I should be. And I think it contributed to feeding the inflammation and setting me up into a situation where when I had the accident, I did not have much resilience, and that was enough to set my flare off. And I don't ever want to go back there again. I mean, there were many days I was preferring to have died overnight instead of waking up in pain and not being able to move and not having energy and the rest of it. So something to consider if your molecules that they're giving you in your intravenous, your um, biologics, if it's not cutting it, even so, it's worth doing some version of an elimination diet.
Mm-hmm.
So the big ones that get you when you get over 40, sugar. If you've been Coca-Cola, Sprite, candy bars, dessert, maybe try getting away from the sugar for a while. It should help with the inflammation. Or it's going to be gluten. So breads, pastries, things like that, things with gluten can also be causing problems, which get exacerbated when you have sarcoidosis.
Great. Those are all my favorites.
You know, about 10 years ago, I went on a keto diet, just really moral support for my son and to lose a few pounds. And at that point, I had just had the hand surgery, and I swear I couldn't get my finger more than that. And I went on the keto diet, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can close my hand. I can make a fist. And then when I went off the keto diet, I started drinking some beers and having some sugar and a little bread. All of a sudden, my finger would swell up again. I'm like, whoa. So that was like my early warning indicator for like 10 years. And there's definite interaction between the food you eat and the inflammation in your body. And you just have to be, educated and mindful about what you're eating.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that, Kevin. So we had at our renal medullary carcinoma group last night, we actually had a nutritionist stop by and come talk to our group, which was pretty great. And learned a couple of interesting things. And I just checked on our YouTube channel. That recording hasn't been posted yet, but I really encourage when it does get posted, I'll even see, I'll tell Karen and maybe we can put that recording in the next sarcoidosis reminder.
What was the name of the group again?
Our RMC group, renal medullary carcinoma, it's a rare form of kidney cancer. But she was talking about, how you can support your kidneys through nutrition, which is good for all of us because people usually have to have a kidney removed. And she talked a lot of the things that you touched on, Kevin, about sometimes it's very important to be consuming organic produce. And she even had a list. If you can only purchase certain things organic, here's what you want to do. And if you can't purchase these things organic, wash these just really, really good. Mm-hmm. So, and she talked about just try to focus on the healthy eating. But one of the things I really learned last night is that cucumbers are fantastic for your kidneys. And I didn't know that.
I love cucumbers.
There you go. Apparently, cucumbers are something fantastic you can do to support your kidney health. Cucumbers, not only any type of vegetable that contains a lot of water, because your kidneys love water, but cucumbers also contain other stuff in them that supports the kidney function. So that's one of the things that she talked to us about last night, which I had never heard of. And at AnCan, we've talked about nutrition and other things before. So she's like, eat those cucumbers. I'm like, yes, ma'am. I'm going to remember my kidneys for that. And then another interesting thing she talked about is sometimes eating less meat, but not replacing that meat with meat alternatives like a Beyond Burger or anything like that. She was talking about doing more like try chickpeas or try this or try that because it can give your kidneys kind of a break from processing high protein. So I thought that was a very interesting presentation that I wanted to add, and I'm just telling everybody who I talked to today anyway, do you know about cucumbers and kidneys? That's your fun fact for today.
Thanks for sharing. That's
Thank you.
interesting. And now I know what RMC is for.
There you go.
What's your supply of water, Heather? Tap water?
We have well water.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So we've had it tested before. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Well water should be good as long as you don't have industrial farming in the area.
No. We have a good source.
That was one that I got clued into along the way, that the water that you drink can be a source of exposure to. If you're drinking out of plastic bottles, you're getting the microplastics, which is, gets converted into biosimilar hormones in your body or something.
Yeah, I can't drink the water here and where I live at because
the water in Florida is horrible. I use a five-stage filter.
I'm drinking bottled water. I'm sorry. They're doing a lot of water work over here, and they're going to be digging up my yard probably next year. I think I have lead pipes in my house, but I've never drank our tap water here in my city at all. I've always drank bottled water because the water, and now that they're doing work here, the water smells horrible. It's god awful, and I'm just stocking up on bottled water.
Yeah, you can also get a so the next level up would be it's kind of like a Brita.
Yeah, I can't afford that.
My preferred one is it's called the zero water filter.
Right.
5-stage filter, and it gets everything out of the water.
I don't know what they
water
do
in,
to our water here, but I'm scared to drink the water here where I live at, period.
And it gives you a tester so you know when the filter expires. You get a tester, and when it gets above 4 ppm, parts per million, then you replace the filter.
Yeah, they sent a paper to my house here recently as to what we can do and blah 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 blah, that kind of stuff. But I'm like, so.
So, question for you, Heather: do you have any idea where you got sarcoidosis from?
No clue. That is still a mystery.
And will probably remain so because they have no idea what causes it.
Yeah, no, it's when I was first going to the doctors before they found the sarcoid, they were trying to figure out where just the kidney numbers, why they were so elevated, and I think every scenario under the sun was discussed that it could be a potential. And yeah, that I have come to terms with, that I will probably never have that answer. So
that's a good place to be. It is what it is. You can't change it. All you can do is manage it and protect your quality of life.
Exactly. I'm also doing, in addition to the Remicade, I'm on mycophenolate.
Yep.
Is
that?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Is that something others have had experience with as well? I don't think we're having. I haven't been having any issues really with it. I was wondering if the headaches were coming from that instead of the Remicade.
They put me on it because my body has a propensity to kick myself off of all kinds of medicines. And so, hold on.
So back to your question, I was on. It put me on prednisone once they found it in my heart, and first steroid sparing agent was methotrexate, and that blew up my liver enzymes. And then there was a period where they were looking for the next, and I ended up on Cellcept, mycophenolate, and then titrated that down over a period of like 3 years. I got off of it last year.
You did?
Yes. I got off all my medication. All of it.
Sorry for that interruption. That was my daughter.
Well, that's okay. That's permissible. Life happens.
Yeah. What?
The main issue I had with Cellcept is I didn't have a solid bowel movement for like 2 years.
Oh dear.
That's the way my body reacted to it. And then like after like sucking it up and dealing with it and getting resigned to it, and like, oh, there's another version that you can get that doesn't have that's not one of the side effects. I'm like, now you tell me.
So are you back on a different kind of Cellcept, or you're just off?
No, I'm off the Cellcept completely. I'm off all the medications. I was on 14 medications plus like 30 supplements at one point in the middle of my, because I'd never had a flare up. They found it 15 years ago in my finger, and they're like, "You're good. Come back in 2 years. We'll take another X-ray. Come back in 2 years. We'll do a CT scan. Here, do a PFT. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine." And then had the accident and went from a great big nothing burger to setting up in my heart and almost killing me in a matter of 3 days.
Oh wow.
Even in the emergency department, I'm like, I have sarcoidosis. The cardiac sarcoidosis is a thing. Nah. Do you drink? Like, really? It was went through the whole ladder of stress test and cardiac MRI and this and that, and then finally did a PET scan. Like, oh, it's in your heart.
So
And the way it showed up was AFib, and that all kind of different arrhythmias on any kind of exertion.
Oh, yeah.
And then, the prednisone knocked the inflammation down. My heart healed 80%. I still have some arrhythmias now and again, but nothing life-threatening, nothing of, it's like 2 seconds of a high heart rate. That's about it right now. So we're using that as an early warning indicator for a flare-up too.
Mm.
So they monitor the heart, every day it uploads. And, if we see an uptick over time with the number of arrhythmias, that's an indication that something's going on in the heart.
So do you have a pacemaker or an ICD?
ICD.
You have an ICD.
I had the ICD put in before the diagnosis. My electrophysiologist is like, you're going to drop over dead. Like, we need to get this done now. And there's a pandemic flaring up. And
oh, right. Yes, of course.
So, we had that discussion in March. By April 1, I was on my back in the operating room.
Of 2020 or 2021?
2020.
Oh my God. What a time to be in the hospital.
I know.
Oh my God.
Because they hadn't shut everything down yet. And it was really like a race against time. We got to get this approved. We got to get it done because they're going to shut the hospital down. I'm like, okay.
That was like 2 weeks before things shut down.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I was in Maryland. Right, I was at a rare disease conference before they shut everything down at the end of February, and then when I got back, everything started shutting down in 2020. I was like, oh my gosh, because I was paying attention to the news at that time.
Oh my God, I was on an airplane. What am I doing?
Yes. And then when I got back, within a week, we were shut down, working from home. It's like, oh my gosh.
It was crazy.
Oh my God, learning Zoom overnight. Yes.
Zoom.
It's so
That's
funny.
the best thing that ever happened.
I had to
All
learn
of a
how
sudden, I can do telehealth.
So when did this support group start?
Oh, this is gotta be 7 years.
And was it it was telehealth? I mean, it was.
Well, it was this format.
It was this format. Okay.
I might have changed the technology platform along the way, but it started with prostate cancer.
Oh, okay.
And then they started adding different support groups. So, Bob talked to Mary and they said, hey, we should do this. And then we have a SART group and we kind of did our thing. And
I'm trying to figure out how I got started. I don't know.
So yeah, when I had my accident and all of a sudden sarcoidosis was real, not just this imaginary thing that showed up on an X-ray 10 years ago. Yeah, I started looking for support groups. I started doing research because I'm involved in a major lawsuit. I was driving for Uber at the time, and I lost
Oh,
4 years of my life and counting, almost five now. And yeah, I think there's a little something coming back towards me.
I hope you get something from them.
Well,
First step went well. Second step, now we're at Uber level, and not a good discussion partner. They counter offered with $1,000 settlement to our $1 million demand letter. I'm like, okay, we'll see you in court.
A
And They,
thousand.
they, they didn't have any medical records. They had no basis. They were just like denied, denied, denied. So
well, imagine being diagnosed with sarcoid back in 1994, where there's
what the hell is
nothing.
that?
Huh?
What the hell is sarcoid? Nobody knew
Right?
anything.
There's nothing available. They just
Yeah.
send you on your way and say, "Hey, you got a medical mystery. It's called sarcoidosis. Put you on steroids, and that's it.
Good luck.
Thank you."
So was that about the only treatment at that point? Was
It's
Yes,
still the only treatment.
steroids?
that's the first line of treatment to this day.
Prednisone is the only medication
Yes,
approved for sarcoidosis. Everything else is off label.
except for
Hmm.
AnCan.
Yeah, that's more recent.
Except
Yes,
for what? What is it called?
it's called
Athar?
AnCan. It's called
Oh,
AnCan. Yeah.
Yeah, actually the Foundation
Yes.
for Sarcoidosis Research, which is kind of
Yes.
like our, you know, sponsoring group, or I don't know what to call them, but they have. It was originally started by a patient and her husband to just collate all the information they could find and make it available,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's kind of grown into fundraising, and they've been sponsoring research
Mm-hmm.
and
yeah.
working with biotech and pharma companies to, like, hey, let's figure something out for these people.
Yeah.
And really, in the past 4 years, there's been a number of clinical trials that have
Mm.
come forth, and some of them are showing really positive results. So, that's really the best repository for current, latest information on, sarcoidosis and
Yeah.
current thinking on treatment.
Yeah. Yeah. I do patient navigation work for them. In
Hmm.
fact, I just finished the training. So for anybody who's um, newly diagnosed, um, I was like, "What is that?" For
Not
anybody
much.
who's newly diagnosed,
Sorry about that.
match up patients with patient navigators, and we work with them for like 30 days and then give them the tools to help them manage their sarcoid. That's basically what it is. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So, but I like this support group right here. I like help being a moderator here.
Just the
And we love you too.
well, I appreciate both of you. Yeah.
I'm recent gratitude practitioner. I don't know if you're familiar with having a gratitude practice, but in the
No.
morning when you get up, you think and write down three things that you're grateful for.
Hmm.
And it changes your energy level, it changes your mood, changes your thinking, changes your reality. So the thinking goes. And I can definitely attest to that. You change your thinking,
Yeah.
you change your reality. It changes the whole loop. Um, doing some more work in that. But early on, when I was starting this out in the middle of my flare up and I found this group, it was on my gratitude list every month. it really helped me to kind of just get a handle on what was going on and give me ideas and where to go and research and things to try. And now this is more about giving back.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the past 18 to 24 months have been way better than I expected immediately after the accident.
That's
So,
how I am about my volunteer work with both organizations. It's all
yep.
about giving back because I'm gonna tell you, when I was diagnosed in 1994, I had no one at all. And till I started doing my research to do a public project for my master's degree, I stumbled upon the foundation. Um, and that's how I got started, because I did a what I call my own support group here where I live at, and I made it a public group. Did a public event for a class that we had to do. It was called a public event class, and so I started a support group here. But then when COVID hit, I had to close it down because we just couldn't meet for those 2 years. So then I started a Facebook page um, for our state. Um, and so I just run the Facebook group page for our state, and I still needed something else to do. So, and I think that's when I stumbled upon AnCan. So, yeah, I wanted to do something different because this is more like what I wanted to do right here, is do something online, since I couldn't do the public group here in my hometown. So I've been trying to get some of my people to join, but I don't know what their issue is. I guess they're scared to be face to face with people, and they have been asking me, "Can we do a group?
Get them
Online?"
in. So
That's
we
when
already
I
have
said, "Yeah, I send the thing every month.
it. Yeah.
I send it every month, but nobody's come in yet." So I said, "You are cordially invited to attend every month." So, but one person did show up once. So, and then my young friend, I don't know what happened to her.
Where I haven't
I
Gabby,
have,
wasn't it?
yes, I haven't seen her. She's still trying to get me to come visit with her. I might have to go to her house, text her, and then go visit her at her house because she was doing pretty good. I'm wondering if she has become depressed or something. I don't know, but
Yeah. That's something you really need to stay vigilant on. And
yes.
it took me about 8 years to figure out and come to grips with I'm depressed and it's not my fault. It is this disease process changing my brain chemistry, making me depressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, there's nothing wrong with me
Mm-hmm.
because
I mean,
depression is
it's
for weak people.
something you have
Real
to
men
work.
don't get depressed. Rawr.
And basically that's what my book is sort of about, that I wrote, that that book I wrote. It's
Hmm.
not with me, you know.
What's the name of your book?
Oh,
The
let
hell
me
with sarcoidosis.
yeah, let me go get it just so you can see it. Hold on.
So, Heather, I'll offer one more time. Um, Before I do that, where did you find out about the group? On Facebook, on Reddit?
I'm trying to, I think just a bunch of Google searches and finally finding one that caught my eye. I'm pretty sure that's where I
If
had
you
just
put
come
your
about it.
email in the chat,
Tick.
Alexa will put you on the distribution list so you get a email reminder the day before next month.
Okay.
So does it say "to hell with sarcoidosis"?
It sure
Yep.
does. It is. I'm just going to explain to you a little bit. It is a poetry book. An
Oh,
It is an interactive poetry book. It has a verse for It's written in two forms: dealing with the illness and then living with the illness. And it just says words in there that people would want to say and don't never talk about, you know what I mean? It just talks about how you're feeling on inside.
Yeah.
And you just write them down. And that's basically what I've done for the last few years the last few years. I wrote the book last year, but I have been already writing these words down, prior to that. And I said, I need to put something together because how I've been feeling and blah, 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 because I've been dealing with sarcoid for 30 years. I'm like, let me publish some, let me get something off of my bucket list. And this was a bucket list for me. And so I wrote it. So it's just a poetry piece. And then there's about 3 pages that gives you a prompt that you
Oh,
could
okay.
write in the book yourself. That's all you got to do. Just write in it. Give you something to do. It gives you something to think about, and it gives you something to hone into, your own feelings, It's
Yeah.
basically something real simple. And it's for anybody with any illness, period. It's not even about sarcoidosis. It's
Like an
about,
advanced degree in counseling.
yes, huh? What it is.
An advanced degree in counseling. Like you can spend hundreds of dollars talking to a counselor about this, or you can just go through the book and interact with it. And you'll be in a better place.
And it's kind of a fun read. Basically, is what it is. It's not a fun read, but some of it is fun. But it's just basic reading and just honing into your own self. That's all it basically is about. That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
gonna do another book soon.
I believe you.
Regina, what is your last name if I want to find the book?
It's on it's Gordon. It's on Amazon.
Ah, okay.
Or you can also find it on AnCan's page up under sarcoid too. So
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm putting that link in the chat.
oh, Kevin, I sold 2 of them at the market.
Nice.
I was so excited. So
Thank you, Alexa.
All right. Before we close out, does anyone have anything they'd like to add?
I'd like to say welcome, Heather, and we hope to see you again next month. And thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you. Thanks for listening and giving me some kind advice. I appreciate it.
Something to consider after a couple of meetings, maybe invite your husband or significant other, just so they have an understanding and can ask questions about like what it is to go through what you're going through.
It's a good idea. He's been sitting next to me, but he's plugged into his own call. Also known as Instagram.
Oh.
Priorities. All right, well, it's good to see everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
When is the next meeting?
Second Wednesday of every month.
Okay. Okay, good.
Same link, same time.
I will tell you what it is. So it is December the 11th.
Okay.
Ooh, a few days before my birthday.
We're going to have a party.
Woo, woo. No sugar.
No cupcakes? Oh, well. Sugar-free cupcakes.
Yeah, my birthday is that Saturday. I'll be.
Shh.
Yeah, I'm not saying.
No.
Y'all won't believe me if I told y'all anyway. So no,
You're just turning 39, right?
I'll be 64.
64.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I know age ain't nothing but a number, but to see 64 years and know you have
Oh
sarcoid
yeah.
of them, you know,
Yeah. That's not surviving. That's thriving.
Hell
yes,
yeah.
it is. It is. This is my 30th year.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, yeah.
Warrior all the way.
It's time to crawl in my bed. I'm excited.
All right.
Sleep well, everybody.
Bedtime,
Well,
everyone.
I'm not just stay between you and your bed. That's a dangerous place to be.
Yes.
Good night,
See
everybody.
y'all